News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moskow.
Can we begin this morning with a key court ruling involving Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook? The judge has temporarily blocked President Trump's effort to remove her from her position at the Fed. Bloomberg Markets reporter Valerie Teitel says the decision allows Cook to remain in her post while she challenges the White House's attempt to oust her over allegations of mortgage fraud, which Cook says are politically motivated.
This is a really important case to follow because this is the first time a president has sought to remove someone at the Fed. And given the law written into the Federal Reserve Act, the president can remove somebody for cause. But it's very vague on what cause actually entails. And this ruling really can have lasting effects on clarifying what is justified as cause in this scenario.
Bloomberg's Valerie Teitel says the judge concluded the alleged misconduct likely does not amount to cause for her removal.
Let's turn to the Middle East now. Nathan, Israel conducted an unprecedented strike against senior Hamas leaders in the Qatari capital of Doha, escalating an already tense standoff between the country and Arab nations over the war in Gaza. The move drew criticism from the Trump administration, saying the bombing did not advance Israeli or American goals in trying to bring an end to the Middle East conflict. And the president says he was not given advance notice of the attack.
I was very unhappy about it. Very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
So you were caught by surprise, sir?
I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East.
President Trump added that he spoke with both Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Qatari leaders after the strike and assured Qatar that such an attack would not happen again. Hamas said 5 of its members were killed in the attack, though its main negotiating delegation survived.
And Karen, Qatar is condemning this strike, calling it a flagrant violation of international law. It says it will not tolerate this reckless Israeli behavior and its continued tampering with regional security. William Roebuck is Executive Vice President at the Arab Gulf States Institute. He says the attack threatens the ceasefire deal that President Trump proposed.
I don't see prospects for the negotiations to start up again. And I also, on the Israeli side, just assessing the way they have responded to the negotiation proposal, I don't see a lot of strong interest on their side yet in that proposal from President Trump.
William Roebuck of the Arab Gulf States Institute. Bloomberg Economics says while crude oil futures jumped after the attack, oil prices are unlikely to move persistently. Checking oil prices now, they are moving higher. West Texas Intermediate's up 1%, trading at $63.28 per barrel. Brent is up 0.9% at $67.02.
And Nathan, we have more geopolitical news this morning related to the war in Ukraine. Poland has shot down drones that crossed into its territory during a Russian airstrike on Ukraine. The Polish military calling it an act of aggression, and the country's premier is asking NATO allies for support. Bloomberg Daybreak Europe anchor Stephen Carroll is in Brussels and joins us live with the details. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Karen and Nathan. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk says his country's airspace was violated by a huge number of Russian drones in the early hours of this morning. Airports were closed for several hours while citizens in the east were told to stay indoors. It's the first time the NATO member has shot down military aircraft that have strayed into its airspace since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The EU's Foreign Affairs Chief Kaja Kallas says the incursion appears to be intentional. The Polish Prime Minister has asked NATO to invoke Article 4 of its treaty, which triggers consultations on a military response. In Brussels, Stephen Carroll, Bloomberg Radio.
I want to turn now, Karen, to a major political race we're following in Boston. An expected one-on-one showdown for Boston Mayor Michelle Wu and challenger Josh Kraft is officially underway. Wu has notched a sweeping victory in the city's preliminary election. With 100% of precincts reporting, Wu has drawn 71.6% support to Josh Kraft's 23.3%. The remaining 5% of the vote went to activist Domingos De Rosa and former police officer Robert Capucci. The election is scheduled for Tuesday, November 4th. Back to Wall Street now. Karen, traders are going to get more economic data today. The producer price index for August is due out at 8:30 a.m. Wall Street time. We get a preview now from Bloomberg's Michael McKee.
If anything could derail a Fed rate cut, it would be an August jump in inflation. That's not expected when the government releases the month's producer price index. The consensus monthly change is just a third the size of July's increase. On an annual basis, headline wholesale inflation is forecast unchanged, while the core rate actually drops. A surprise, of course, would increase market angst, although tomorrow's consumer price index will have greater impact. What's likely to matter most today is where we might see tariff-induced inflation and how much. Michael McKee, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Michael, thank you. We turn to big tech now and a look at Oracle, which is surging this morning with shares jumping to a record after the company gave an aggressive outlook for its cloud business, stunning Wall Street and galvanizing hopes that the post-Chat GPT global AI infrastructure build-out is accelerating. Oracle's cloud infrastructure revenue increased 55% to $3.3 billion, with the company signing 4 multi-billion-dollar contracts with 3 different customers in the quarter, and it's expecting to sign up several additional customers in the coming months. And looking at Oracle shares this morning, up almost 29%. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moskow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.